Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are speaking about knowing your value. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is a true thinker because we need to know this, right? And do you really know your value? See, thinker, thinker. So, with that being said, I have Roland here who's going to help us really think about this in a way so that it can resonate with us and that we can continue on thinking about it, right? So, thank you so much, Roland, for sharing your time, your perspective with me. I greatly appreciate it. Let's dive right in, right? What
Okay.
does knowing your value make you think about?
It makes me think about a game changer and the importance of it. Uh, Not very well modeled in society, but here's a quote that I give people a lot is when others see your value, you're advantaged. But when you see your value, you're unshakable. And I think that's so much like, hey, we may have grown up with parents or peers, other people that helped us see our value, but maybe not as well. Like Oprah, she was subjected to abuse for a lot of her youth, and she said, "You won't know your value until somebody tells you about it." And for her, it was her fourth grade teacher, Mrs.
Yeah.
Duncan, and that's a fantastic story. But I love it because when we can see our value, not me telling you about your value, but you telling you about your value, that's when the unshakable happens.
Absolutely. And I think that's something like you pointed out earlier that they don't teach you in society. You know what I mean? They don't tell you how to recognize your own value. They just say live to your full potential. But when you tell that to a kid that's in fourth grade, what is my full potential? How do I even know what I am potential of when I'm subjected to so much negative or toxicity or whatever it is that you're experiencing at a young age? It's hard to recognize your value when people maybe throwing negative words at you, causing you to have doubt, causing you to have disbelief in your intelligence, in who you are as a human being. And it's very hard to just tap into knowing your value. And I think this is important because any age really needs to understand your value because, like you said, it's like if you don't know it, but other people can see it, it's not going to do you any benefit. It's not going to do you any good because you're not going to step into all that you are. You know what I mean? You're going to always have that resistance. But when you step into it, you will start creating movements or direction or a path where there was no path. You know what I mean? And then you will be a trendsetter and things of that nature. So I think this is something great. And so I have to ask you, when did you realize your value?
I think maybe a few years ago, I did something that just really kind of at first it looked like an insane mistake thing to do. I quit my job. My wife was working.
Okay.
I bought a house at auction because I saw some stuff on YouTube that I thought was just going to be great. I was like, oh my goodness, this is the craziest thing I ever did. But and typically I would just like stick my head in the sand, let somebody else take care of it. But I had responsibilities, and it just I think then it just kind of dawned on me, I'm the one that's responsible for getting past this tough spot. And
Yeah.
somehow for me, that just set that I have value and capacity. I learned to network. I learned to like come alive,
Yeah.
and that was a big game changer for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great thing when you have to step into the unknown. That's when you really step into your value. You know what I mean? And I think many people can resonate with your story because there are so many people who have quit their job and done the taboo of leaving something reliable to something unknown. And just, you never know what's going to happen. So it could be great or it could be a total failure. But when it's great, oh my goodness, it is an amazing feeling, I bet, right?
Yes, yeah, and the other thing too, I think I started to think about other people as well, and to like
Oh,
the
yeah.
negative messages that come through society, and started seeing other people like that I networked with or my family, and seeing that people what's missing there, the message of people's value is just it's not there. And I started trying to help people or wanting to help people see their value as I seen it. Like my kids probably it was another thing when kids came into the picture. It's like these kids are amazing, and sometimes they don't see it, but for me, I saw it, and I wanted to convey that message. And when I just
Yeah.
started talking to people, I the conversations came easy, and it's like people thought about this a lot, but they never talk about it so much. But then, just how to convey to people that they have tremendous value. It's off the charts, and again, helping people not because I said that, but because they see it themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sometimes when you're able to see it in somebody else, but then flip it around so that they can make it relatable for them or have it put it in words or terms that they'll be able to understand, that is something where it can resonate and change lives. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yes,
when you are able to recognize that you can change somebody else's perspective, and like you said, children are like sponges. You know what I mean? They copy, they absorb everything. And so it makes it so important as an adult, as a parent, to put yourself on check, remind yourself like is my values? You know what I mean? What are my morals ground? Where do I stand? What do I want? And what is the ultimate goal? You know what I mean? When you have those questions and you answer them, it kind of puts things into perspective where it's like, okay, now I can see where my next step is. Now I can see how I can go to that direction. You know what I mean? And
yes,
it takes those real hard questions to find to start to go in that direction, in my opinion, because for me personally, I had to do something. I had to basically do that. You know what I mean? Like I want to be this type of woman. I want to be how I want to demand respect when I walk in a room. I want to portray a certain essence. You know what I mean?
yes.
And once I stepped into that being, I it's like nothing now to me. You know what I mean? Where strangers or people from that they don't even know me or whatever, or they do know me, they were like, "Yeah, Mitzi, you've always had this characteristic to you, you know." And now it's just grander because now I finally stepped into what I've already had, but I didn't know I had because it was diminished by the lies that people kept on telling me. Because sometimes people can see your potential, but
Uh,
then they can like try to reduce your vision of it so that you can never step into it. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Yes, indeed.
And it's
So
sad when that happens.
yeah, I was into life coaching for a little bit because it's great. You know, you get accountability and you've got goals. But what I found out with like I call it value coaching is that
Hmm.
it's broad in this sense. Like you're saying, if you see your value, no matter what your next step is, maybe it's going to be difficult, financial or relationship, or you're trying to build a business. Maybe it's not going good. But yeah, if you see your value, you are in the best place no matter what the next step is. And I think that takes a lot of stress off people
Yeah.
and kind of feeds a creativity that like you say, hey, I've got the confidence to be in that room. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
Better, higher energy things are going to happen for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm curious, Roland, what is your choice of medicine? Like, how do you calm yourself down and get your back to center?
That is an interesting question because I kind of follow and study a lot of things along that line, but myself like to be centered in your body because
Yeah.
I was just reading some stuff the other day by a Dr. Russell Kennedy that was an aha for me, and I think maybe a lot of people know that, but his point is that stress and anxiety originates from the body, and if you
Yeah.
can find it and focus there, we try to solve it in our mind, but that never happens. And I think
Mm-mm.
that was for me, that was like a big aha for me that I can be more aware and centered, be in the place I need to be, just from the inside out.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. And that's why I have to ask people because I want to see where they are, you know what I mean, and how they center themselves. Because when we are able to understand that we need to center ourselves in the chaoticness that's our world, then we are able to remind ourselves our value, remind ourselves who we are as human beings on this earth and how much value we have. You know, it's like ants. You know what I mean? Ants have so much value in their little system that they have. But
Yes.
we as humans, we don't recognize that they have so much value with each individual one. So when we squash one, it's like we don't realize what we're taking away from the world. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like we have to remind ourselves of the little things. So what is your opinion of self like love? What does that mean to you?
I used to think of it as selfish, but it's really powerful, that change, because how easy it is. It's easier for us to love other people or that we're close to or we think about.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even come to our awareness a lot of times that if we could treat ourselves that way, it would make a tremendous difference. And that question, like I just see people that way too. Like you just wonder, where are people at in their journey to where they can take care of themselves, when they can love themselves, and not like a checkbox or something you should do to take. This is the thing you should do to take care of yourself, but that it comes spontaneously. That this is just kind of a knowing, and
Yeah.
it's interesting. Yeah, people are kind of on a journey that way, I think. But
Yeah.
that's a big game changer, isn't it?
It is when you start that self-love journey and you understanding the difference between the selfishness of it, because selfishness has a bad meaning behind it. You know what I mean? People have a bad understanding behind it, and I spoke with another guest about how people just misinterpret what selfish is because they see it as some arrogant individual who doesn't care about anybody else. But it's like there's a time and place for us to be selfish, and that's when we have to remember to pull your boundaries up. And if it's time for you to just shut the world off, close off your electronics, go take a shower, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like close everything off and just relax and do what makes you feel like loved again in the smallest way, like you're taking care of yourself, then you should do it. You know what I mean? And I think that's what something that people fail to understand because they're so busy going on to the next activity because of this fear of missing out. But it's like you're not missing out on anything because the world recycles itself in
Okay.
such a way that it's gonna be
Yeah.
like it'll come back around. Just give it time. You go back around the next cycle.
Yeah. Yes.
So, what do you consider a pet peeve in your life? Like, what is a pet peeve for you?
For myself, or a pet
Mm,
peeve that other people do?
no, just a pet peeve in general. Like, what do you consider a pet peeve of yours?
A pet peeve. Wow. I guess I'm pretty, kind of flexible with people, but probably being stuck and purposely stuck.
That's a good one. That's a valid one because it's hard because when you could see somebody and it's like all they keep doing is running into the same wall over and over and over again, but then the exit's right there to the left. All you have to move is just move just a little bit. But they don't because they keep just going into the same cycle over and over again. Yes,
Yes.
that is a big pet peeve. It's like, why are you stuck? Why don't you just stop and just look around and evaluate your situation in a 360 perspective? One thing I'm learning is how to control being overwhelmed. Because I'm one that gets overwhelmed easily. You know what I mean?
Me
So I'm
too.
learning that when you are overwhelmed, taking that pause and just rationalizing, you know what I mean? Rationalizing the situation, then you'll realize that it's really not as big of a deal that we're making it is in our minds. You know what I mean?
Yes.
How do you handle being overwhelmed?
Um, Back to that center thing, but I think a lot of it is just that big picture perspective. And I say that thing about being stuck with grace because I was so there too. But then the freedom on the other side of that, and the other thing is, I used to think I could do everything myself, right? I had to do everything myself. I don't know if it's a guy thing or it was a mindset that was like such a dead end. But then when I learned to network and ask for help, that tapped me into so many other people and resources. So
Yeah.
I think that thing about overwhelm, if I can just get that big picture and then maybe just listen to a podcast or meditate or get outside
Yeah.
of where I need to do everything myself, because that's just a weak resource of one that isn't doing me
Yeah.
any good.
Oh, I
So,
love that last statement. It's a weak resource of one. Oh my goodness, that is deep within itself because we don't realize that we're only using one resource when there's millions out there. Oh my goodness,
Yes, yes.
that is a great way to think about that. And I think that really does tie into just knowing your values and just remembering that in your heart, like you said earlier, like you already know deep down inside, just continue to lean towards that urge or that desire, that curiosity of more within you. And I think you can start developing this knowing of who you are, that self-awareness, and then accountability, like you were talking about, having those two along together, plus honorability to honor your emotions and still do things that you made promises to. That's the
Yes,
key thing. You know what I mean? That's the
yes.
most definitely key thing as well, because you can be accountable for your emotions, but it doesn't mean you're always going to be accountable for your actions. And that is when things get sticky. So, when
Yeah.
I noticed that time is catching up to us. What can be some lasting words of wisdom that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
In a workshop I do, I help people see their value like on a scale of 1 to 10, like a
Okay.
doctor's pain scale. Okay. And we
Okay.
think just become aware of your number. I think on average, I'm an 8 or 6. The truth is, you are a 10, I'm a 10, she's a 10, that other person's a 10.
Yep.
And if we can keep that 10, hey, I've got tough days. I've got days that I struggle with that stuff. I sit myself down and keep my eye on that 10, and I see things different. I see other people different. I see the next step different. So that's kind of where I am with that. That's helped me so much.
Oh, absolutely. It's reminding ourselves that we already whole. Absolutely. And reminding ourselves that, we do have our bad days. And not every day is going to be great,
No.
but hey, you are still great in that day despite whatever that's going on. And I think that is a great thing, a reminder that scale system. Still a 10. I'm a 10.
Yes.
10.
Yes.
Just scream it out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a 10. I'm gonna start doing that now. Watch me. Oh my goodness, my husband's gonna go crazy. I'm just gonna any type of doubt that's gonna come in. I'm a 10. I'm good. And Roland said so.
Uh, that's funny. Yeah,
Oh, that's so
exactly.
funny. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to know more about Roland, because how could you not with this conversation, please check him out. I have his website on mine. If you're already here on the website, go check him out. Click right under his photo so that you can continue on thinking. So, with that being said, bye.